Most new investors think that once they picked a fund with a low fee, they're sorted. Job done. But there's actually a hidden cost inside many popular global funds and ETFs, and it quietly eats into your returns without you ever seeing it. So in this video, I'm going to explain what that cost is, why it matters, and how you can avoid it. And if you do find this video interesting, I hope that you will consider subscribing to my channel for more investing content. When you invest in a fund, you usually see something called the OCF, the ongoing charge figure. That's the fund's main fee, and the administration fee that is charged for fund maintenance. You might also pay a platform fee depending on where you invest. This is a fee that your broker will charge for holding your investments with them, and could be a monthly fee or percentage based. And there are also transaction costs, the cost of buying and selling fund shares, for instance, often referred to as the bid-offer spread. These are all normal, they're expected, and they're generally clearly shown. But there's another cost that isn't shown anywhere. And most beginner investors, or even some more experienced investors, have no idea it exists. This hidden cost affects millions of investors all over the world who hold a global fund or other fund that contains US companies. It's called withholding tax, and it's a tax taken by the US government for the dividends paid by US companies before the money ever reaches your fund. Before we talk about this tax, it's really important to understand where your gains actually come from when you invest in a fund or ETF. The first way is through capital growth. If the companies inside your fund grow in value, then the fund price goes up and your investment grows with it. As an example, if Microsoft is a company in your fund and its share price increases in value, that'll have a positive influence on the fund price and therefore your investments. The more companies that do well, the better the fund will do and the bigger investment gains you receive. But the second source of your return is dividends, the cash payments that the companies that are contained within the fund make to their shareholders. Even if you pay little attention to this, your fund does, and those dividends will either get reinvested automatically for you, in the case of an accumulation version of the fund, or directly to you in the case of one which is income or distributed. And these dividends help you grow faster over time. So your total return comes from growth plus the dividends. And for many global funds, dividends make up a surprisingly big part of your long-term gains. And this is exactly why the hidden cost I'm about to show you matters so much. Because a chunk of those dividends, not exclusively, but especially from US companies, never actually reach your fund. It gets taken before the fund even receives it. When a US company pays a dividend, the US government automatically takes a percentage of it from non-US investors. This is called withholding tax. Imagine your global fund owns shares in a big US company, let's say Microsoft again. And I'm just using Microsoft as an example here. This is not a recommendation, or am I using actual figures? Microsoft pays a dividend 4 times a year, so let's say they pay a dividend of $1 per share. So step 1, Microsoft pays the dividend. They send out that $1 to all shareholders, including your fund. Step 2, the US government takes its cut. But because your fund isn't based in the the US government automatically takes a chunk of that dividend before your fund receives it. For many funds that UK investors use, that rate is 15%. So instead of receiving the full $1 dividend, your fund only receives 85 cents. And step 3, your fund then reinvests whatever's left. That 85 cents either then gets paid directly to you in the case of a distributed or income fund, or gets reinvested automatically inside the fund if you have an accumulation version, helping it grow over time. But the missing 15 cents? You never see it. It's not shown as a fee, it's not in the OCF, it's just gone. And no, you do not avoid this if your fund is an accumulation version, as a tax is taken before any accumulation takes place. And this tax could be even bigger than 15% depending on your fund's domicile. That 50% rate isn't based on you being in the UK, but it's based on where the fund itself is domiciled, the country the fund is legally based in. Different domiciles have different tax treaties with the US. Ireland domiciled funds are the most common for UK investors, and Ireland has a treaty with the US that reduces the withholding tax to 15%. Luxembourg domiciled funds are also very common throughout Europe. However, Luxembourg funds do suffer US withholding tax on US sourced dividends at the full statutory rate of 30%. And remember, it isn't just Microsoft dividends we're talking about. If your global fund holds hundreds of US companies and they're all paying dividends throughout the year, that withholding tax is being taken again and again and again. That's why this hidden cost adds up over time. You might be thinking it's only 50%, that doesn't sound like much. But remember, this happens every time a US company pays a dividend. And most global funds consist of at least 60% of US stocks. That could be thousands of stocks. If your global fund has a dividend yield of around 1.5 to 2% a year, and 60% or even more comes from the US, then a significantly big chunk of that income is being taxed before it ever reaches you. In some cases, the withholding tax charge could be as large as the fund's ongoing charge figure, potentially doubling your fund's charge by stealth. Over 10, 20, 30 years, that's a lot of compounding. The good news is, yes, there are ways to reduce or avoid these costs, and you don't need to be an expert to understand them. So let's look at 3 potential options. Option 1, choose funds with lower or no US exposure. This sounds sensible, but do you really want to miss out on the potential for future significant growth that the US companies have historically provided? The trade-off is losing that growth potential to eliminate US withholding tax. Not a very good trade-off if you ask me, but the choice is yours at the end of the day, and I'm not here to tell you what to do. And on that note, I should remind you that this is a financial education video, and I'm not giving you financial advice here. Option 2, choose funds domiciled in countries with better tax treaties. This seems like a better idea, to at least manage and minimise the tax, as some countries have different agreements with the US, which can reduce the tax drag. As already mentioned, the example being island domiciled funds only being charged 15%, whereas the tax on US dividends in Luxembourg domiciled funds is double. But with option 3, we can eliminate this tax burden altogether and still invest in US companies at 50, 60 or even 100%. But to do so, we will have to make sure that the fund we invest in is a synthetic one. This is a big one. Passive index funds and ETFs employ various methods to track their benchmark index, and this then enables them to provide the returns to their investors almost identical to that of the index's group of companies. Some use physical replication, or a variation on this, which is simply a fund that buys the real shares or a selection of the real shares of the companies in the index as its tracking method of that index. So if the fund is tracking an S&P 500 fund of the largest 500 US companies, a physical ETF will go out and buy the actual shares of the 500 companies in that index in their constituent proportions. Companies like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla and so on. The key points are that a physical fund holds the real underlying shares. You own a slice of the actual companies. Because physical funds hold real US shares, they are directly exposed to US withholding tax on dividends. A synthetic fund is a fund that doesn't buy the actual shares in the index. Instead, it uses a financial instrument called a swap, which is basically an agreement with a bank to copy the performance of the index. Instead of buying all the real companies in the index, the ETF holds a basket of other assets, usually safe, liquid things like bonds or large European shares. Then it makes a deal with a bank, who is called the Counterparty, that says, you give me the exact return of the index I'm tracking, and I'll give you the return of the assets I'm holding. So the fund still ends up matching the index, just through a swap and not through owning the actual shares. Because the fund relies on a bank to deliver the index's performance, there's a small risk that the bank could fail, and this is called counterparty risk. But in practice, regulations limit how much exposure the fund can have to any one bank. Collateral is held to protect investors, and large providers spread risk across multiple banks or counterparties. So the risk exists, but is controlled and monitored. Because synthetic funds don't directly hold US shares, they don't receive US dividends in a normal way. And if they don't receive the dividends directly, the US can't apply the 15% withholding tax. Instead, the bank delivering the swap gives the fund the full pre-tax performance of the index, including the dividend portion, without the US taking its cut. So the fund gets the full index return, without losing 50% of the US dividends, which removes those hidden fees to improve long-term performance. And because the structure is simpler and cheaper to run, with fewer trades, lower custody costs and less complexity in tracking the index, synthetic funds often come with lower fund administration charges, or OCF. So the trade-off between the two is that physical funds own the real shares, are very transparent but pay the US withholding tax, whilst synthetic funds might have a lower OCF, avoid the withholding tax, but introduce counterparty risk by using a swap. Both structures have their pros and cons, it's just about understanding how they work. There's no difference in how you invest on your platform, you just have to choose between structure when picking your fund. This isn't about me telling you what to buy, it's about understanding how those structures work so you can make your own informed decisions. And I will list a few examples of commonly used synthetic ETFs at the end of this video. So here's the big message. Fees matter, but the hidden ones matter even more. Most beginners often only look at the OCF, but withholding tax can have a much bigger impact over time than the fee you see on that fact sheet. If you want me to break down specific fund structures or explain synthetic funds in more detail, let me know in the comments. And if you found this video helpful, please consider hitting the like button so YouTube will then hopefully share it with more beginner investors who can also know how to avoid this hidden cost. You'll find a list of some well-known synthetic ETFs at the end of this video. And thanks very much for watching.